Good. So I'd just like to start. We've had a kind of moment of conversation, and obviously Nick's just introduced me. Let's just take a couple of moments just of some deep centering breaths, just to recenter your energy, just to prepare for the talk tonight. So just a couple of, just 2 or 3 just deep breaths, just really allowing yourself just to come back into a centered place, a place that is fully present, so that you're able to listen and your mind is open just to take in whatever you need to take in tonight, whatever is for you specifically to hear tonight. And the more we're in that place of stillness of thought, the easier it is for us to really absorb information at a deep level. And the more attuned we are, of course, to our spiritual intelligence. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. So just open your eyes when you're ready. Because for me, meditation has been the key to my path. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about how I got to where I am today and what I do today. Because it's been a bumpy journey, it's been a challenging journey, and I certainly wasn't made spiritual when I was born. And my childhood actually started off, can't see you there. My childhood started off actually in a family that was very, very religious. Both my parents were devout Christian Scientists that believed totally in the healing power of God. And really the religion that they subscribed to, the message was, have faith in God for everything. And, you know, as a young child, growing up and watching all of this, it didn't seem to kind of look like it worked particularly to me, but you know, when you're young you just accept what you're given. And you know, I duly went to Sunday school and you know, had to attend the odd church service. But when I was a teenager, I was kind of getting to the stage of rebelling against this, and I must admit I had this great tactic. I used to put talcum powder on my face on a Sunday morning so I looked very white. And of course, when you look very white, it's very easy to say, actually, I don't feel very good today. I think I'm going to have to miss going to Sunday school. So on a regular basis, I used to kind of put this talcum powder on my face on Sundays and claim I was too ill to be able to attend. And actually, after a while, my parents stopped trying to make me go to church and go to Sunday school, and realized actually that it was, you know, I was kind of a hopeless case. I'm sure they prayed for me, but I was not the person they were going to turn into this religious child that they were looking for. But I think what really made me come to a point of absolutely questioning God, of questioning the existence of God, whether I could trust him or not, was that when I left university, I lost both my parents quite quick succession. And my dad particularly had been a very, very devout person. When he'd retired from being a headmaster, he'd really dedicated his life to God, to service, to prayer, to meditation and reflection. And yet he died from an illness that actually, if he hadn't just had faith in God, but if he'd kind of gone to a doctor as well, he would actually have been saved from. And so to my 21-year-old mind, it made me think, well, hang on a minute. You really believed in God, and yet when you really needed God, actually God just let you down. He didn't save you at that time when you really, really needed him. And if you'd actually put some faith in traditional medicine, you wouldn't have died. So that was my first kind of defining blow for, right, God out. He is clearly not someone to be trusted in. And then from there, what became my second defining blow was that my mother really didn't respond well to the passing of my father, and she just became more and more depressed, and she ended up having a nervous breakdown. Her mind just seemed to not be able to cope with it at all. And you know, I was 21 at that time. I was an only child. I was like, my God, I've no idea how to look after this woman, how to help her, how to deal with her. She just seemed like she was totally mad to me. And within about 9 months, her depression had got kind of worse and worse. Her kind of, to me, apparent madness had got worse and worse. And I remember coming home one night, and she wasn't in the house, and we started to kind of look as to where she might be, and we went into our garage, and she was in the car there with a hose pipe connected from the exhaust into the car that she was sitting, and we found her dead. And you know, I just thought, he was another person that really prayed to God, that all her friends had faith in God, they believed in God, and yet this is what God does. You know, when you need him the most, he lets you down. So those two things were really defining moments for me, and it was like, right, that is it. You know, I am not having anything more to do with God. I'm going to become an atheist. I have no trust in God. Actually, I hate God, and I don't want him in my life at all. And I was really adamant about that for quite a long period of time. But what actually happened to me as the years went by, what my kind of talents were, what my passions were, I was really, really keen on horses. I loved riding. I was a keen competitor. I actually taught an awful lot as well. And I went to this dressage trainer who was a fantastic lady who kind of taught this whole approach called Ride with Your Mind. And actually, she still does it today. And what she taught me was that the way to really be a great rider, a great trainer, a great competitor was actually to use visualization, to use meditation, to have a lot of body awareness, to understand a lot about NLP. And actually, these techniques absolutely hooked me. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And meditation, out of all of her techniques, was the thing that really captured my sense of imagination. And I started really kind of getting into meditation. And I thought, well, meditation's got nothing to do with God, so I'm okay. You know, I don't have to do the God thing, but I can really develop my meditation practice. And actually, it very much helped me with horses, because I just had a real intuitive sense as to how to ride them, how to train them, how to get the best out of them. I became a more successful competitor. I became a far better trainer. And it was just amazing, the results that this kind of meditation practice had for me. And I was doing meditation courses at weekends when I could. I was going off on retreats. And I was really exploring a lot of different types of meditation. You know, kind of really amazing ones with kind of energy and light, and meditations with angels, and healing meditations, meditations about higher will. I did a lot of Buddhist meditations, a lot of Taoist meditations, and I kind of did this gambit of many, many different types of meditations. And I had a business at that time. I had a training business, I had a small equestrian centre, and I was very much focused on helping people and their horses really be successful, but through a very harmonious union between horse and rider, and a real intuitive understanding of your horse, and a kind of a sensing into your horse, and how can you best train him from that place. And it was very, very successful. And I did that all the way up to when my daughter was born in 2001. And by that time, I trained in a lot of these techniques. I trained to be a meditation facilitator, trained in NLP, trained in stress management, trained as a business coach, trained as a traditional coach. So I kind of at the same time got lots of training under my belt. And so when I sold that business in 2001, the meditation continued, and I then started to work with people on a one-to-one basis, but without their horses. So I just was very much coaching them either in their sports abilities, or I did a lot of executive coaching. And actually, I got some fantastic opportunities as a result of my own personal horse and all my kind of former horsey clients. And I ended up working with international competitors. I ended up doing a lot of traveling as an executive coach and going to some really amazing countries. And then also I kind of migrated and very much worked with entrepreneurs, helping them use these same techniques to make their business successful. But what stayed through all of this was my meditation and then my interest in A Course in Miracles, which was really the key thing that made me kind of have to re-examine my thoughts, my beliefs, my attitudes about God. And it was almost like as I went through the Course workbook, the Course is a 365-day spiritual training program, as I went through that workbook time and again and deepened my understanding, it was like the Course was saying to me, you have got to heal your relationship with God. You've got to heal this distaste of Him, this lack of trust in Him, this hatred for Him. All of that is just a reflection of what's going on in you. You've got to heal that. And that's really became my focus, was to heal all the negative beliefs I had about God, all the negative beliefs about how He let you down when you need Him the most, and my total lack of trust. And it really helped me go to a much, much deeper level with my own spiritual intelligence and my own understanding of how to connect to Spirit, how to get really clear information and guidance and wisdom from Spirit, and also how to embrace the love that Spirit has for us. So really it was studying A Course in Miracles, which is something I'm very committed to studying today, and my ongoing study of it that really created this transformation in me. And it was from there that I was then able to start writing books about it and develop my business very much based on spiritual intelligence, which of course brings us to where we are today and spiritual intelligence in leadership. So let's move on now and talk really specifically about spiritual intelligence and leadership. And when I was writing this book was something that was very much, when I started it, I had no idea where I was going with this book. I just knew I had to write a book, Spiritual Intelligence and Leadership. And it was almost like it was kind of downloaded into my brain as I was writing. I know Nick teaches fantastic courses on how to write books. Don't listen to the way I did it, because it's not how Nick teaches at all. But, you know, each chapter literally emerged for me, and I thought, well, I've no idea what's going to come next, and I was guided to look at this and ideas about that and nudged in certain directions. And actually, it wasn't really till I got to the very end of the book that I sort of thought, well, what have I got here? What is this that I have been given? You know, I've got all these words in a Word document in my laptop, you know, for 60,000 words, but what actually is this stuff? And I realized that what I've been given was not a book that is just about leadership. It's really about the foundations to leadership that has got to be within our minds. Because if we've got these 7 foundational principles in place that I'm going to go through tonight, then actually leadership in any capacity is not a challenge. You know, whether you're leading a very large organization or a one-man band, or, you know, you may just be a parent, because in a way that is a leadership position. If you have these 7 foundational principles in place, then actually leadership is not difficult. Obviously, you've got to apply them a little bit, but that's what we're hoping. So my aim really for you tonight is we're going to look at the 7 foundational principles and how they relate to you as leaders. And then at the end, we're just going to do a little kind of assessment of where you feel you're at. Because what you'll probably find is what I find is that there are certain areas where you are actually very, very strong in a foundational principle. And there are other areas where actually that is your area of growth, that is your area of development. So at the end, we'll sort of round everything up with really an assessment of, well, kind of where are you at with these 7 principles. So let's dive on in right now, and I will be talking actually as to what spiritual intelligence is as we go through them, because spiritual intelligence really is an energy that weaves into every aspect of our consciousness. All right, so let's look at the first foundational principle then, which is an essential for any kind of leadership position, which is the belief, and not in fact just a belief, but a deep inner knowing in your true value and your true worth. Now, how many of us, if we're honest, have been brought up to believe that for a whole host of reasons, we're not worthy and we're not valuable? Let's be honest here. Who holds those beliefs? I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable. Because actually, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients. I haven't met anyone yet who hasn't got some ideas about not being worthy and not being valuable. And yet, at the level of the truth of who you are, which your spiritual intelligence is always guiding you to, at the level of your truth, your true self, as I call it, who you are is of complete value. Who you are is totally worthy. It is only the ego in you that believes for X, Y, and Z reasons that happened to me, I'm not worthy. And one thing that your spiritual intelligence will always be guiding you to return to is that place of full recognition of the truth of who you are. I call it your divine self. It is that aspect of you that is connected to source, that is connected to a higher power that some of us call God. And from that place, we are literally created like Him, like that higher power. Our true essence is as whole, is as complete, is as loving, is as kind, is as tolerant, is as peaceful, is as calm, and is as valuable and worthy as He is. And the more we step into a recognition of that complete value and complete worth as the truth of who we are, the easier it is for us to be leaders in any capacity. And certainly for you all, I think most people here are entrepreneurs. You know, one key belief that you have to hold as a business owner is who I am and what I offer is of great value. And if you have any queries around that at an energetic level, then that is something that often needs to be healed. And it may be you've got to up your game a little bit. It may be you have to improve in a certain area. But what I found for me is I started to look at, well, you know, what do I do that really fits into patterns of not being worthy? You know, what is it that I'm doing that actually kind of acts in alignment with a lack of worthiness? And I really got to see that I wasn't presenting myself as fully as I could. When I was in conversations with people, I was always sort of keeping the focus off myself and being really interested in other people, really interested in their needs, really interested in their wants, and all the time not really being willing to talk about myself, what I thought, what my opinions were, what I was doing, what my work was. And you know, when you're like that, it's very hard to sell yourself effectively if you don't want to talk about yourself. You know, imagine trying to sell a business when all the time you're saying, oh, how are you doing? What happened when you did this? And how is it going? And it's very hard to sell your own business. So really coming to terms with and acknowledging who I am and what I offer is of great value is really what I would say a key foundation for any business owner or leader. And as I said, you know, if there's areas there that need to perhaps be improved, if there's areas we need to increase a little bit, then and up your game, then so be it. That's the area for your growth. But it's really important for us in every aspect of our lives that we show up in alignment with the fact that in our purity we are of great value, in our purity we are extremely worthy. Okay, so that's our first foundational principle. Let's move on now to our second one. And this is one, I have to say, that I have to work on. the absolute deep inner knowing that my sense of security is within me. Because if we think about the people who are perhaps on the street or on the road out there, what do most people base their sense of security on? What makes people feel secure in the world?
Money.
Money, absolutely. Health, partner, yep, great. What else?
Success.
Success, yes.
Economy.
Sorry?
The economy.
The economy, that's right, yep.
Being liked.
Being liked, absolutely. What else makes, sorry? Their home, that's right, particularly if you've got a nice big one. Very secure if you've got a nice, and you can afford it. Yes, yeah. So really it's the things of the world that make us feel secure, you know. The more we feel we have, invariably the more secure we actually feel. But is that true? Because, you know, you've only got to look at the newspapers or listen to the BBC News to hear stories of people who have lost everything in one go. Now, it's the more we base our security and our feelings of security on the things of the world, the people of the world, the accomplishments and achievements that we have, actually the harder it is for us to be secure within ourselves. Because our spiritual intelligence is always guiding us as leaders to be secure within ourselves, secure within our inner connection to that intelligence, that energy of spirit that is within us all. And when we are secure within ourselves, we actually have a huge number of benefits. You know, things can come into our lives, things can go from our lives, and we're okay about it. We accept impermanence. People can come, people can go. Money comes in, money goes out. We achieve things and sometimes we lose things. But our inner sense of security stays firm, stays consistent. So that regardless of the challenges of our lives, however dire our circumstances become, we still remain secure within ourselves. And from there, we can be authentic, because we're not attached to, as you very kindly said, people liking us. We can be vulnerable because actually we know that it's safe to reveal our bad bits, our imperfect bits, those bits we would prefer that perhaps people didn't know about us. You know, we can deal with the negative emotions that sometimes come up in us when we get triggered. We're able just to let them pass through us without making us believe, oh my God, I'm such a bad person, I feel so angry about this, and I feel so irritated about this, and I feel so upset about this, and I feel so envious of that person. We can be okay with those emotions. We don't feel the need to kind of eat or drink or do something wild to make ourselves feel better. And then from there, as well as allowing our emotions to flow, we can also just be free of feelings of self-consciousness. Because certainly for me, you know, I was very, very shy when I was a child. Being self-conscious was really a key thing that I had to get over. And the more secure you are within yourselves, the more you're able to anchor into the truth of who you are, actually self-consciousness just isn't an issue. You become conscious instead of this self that is within you. And I mean self with a capital S. And that's always what we're aiming for. It's that we have an awareness of that true self that is within us, and it is actually there that our security lies. So that whatever happens in the world, we are still secure. Okay, let's go on to our third principle now. Which is a real recognition of the power of spiritual intelligence and the intuitive wisdom, the creative wisdom, and the inspirational wisdom that your spiritual intelligence can give you. Because one thing I know for sure, that in every situation, particularly the challenging ones, we never, ever know all the facts. Yes, our ego will absolutely think that we know all the facts. It will tell us, you know, I know what's going on here. I know how to handle this. But actually, the truth is, we do not know all the facts. However actually deeply intuitive we are, there are still some facts that we probably won't know about. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we may be intuitive, but often our predictive powers are not that great. So we can never really know what's going to happen in the future. We can never really know what is going to happen going forward in our lives. Yes, we can get visions. Yes, we can get inspirations. But actually, we never know for sure how the bigger picture of everybody's life fits together. Your spiritual intelligence does know that. It knows all the facts. It knows how each individual person fits into the bigger picture, the ultimate destiny that we are here to fulfill. And it does know what is likely to happen in the future. Yes, we have free will, but our spiritual intelligence sees that bigger picture of our lives that we cannot hope to possibly see or know. And the value also of our intuitive wisdom, our inspired and deeply wise guidance that comes to us, is it's free from the biases, free from the mental filters, free from all those kind of attitudes that we have in our minds that actually stop us really seeing clearly for ourselves at the level of logic what is the way forward. So for those reasons, the fact we never know all the facts, the fact that actually we're not that good at predicting the future, and the fact that we have so many biases and filters within our minds, the more we can refer to our intuition for certainly all of the major decisions of our lives, but actually ideally a lot of the minor ones as well, the better it is for us, because we are then naturally aligned with the flow of our lives. We are aligned with that journey that we are inherently meant to be on. And life becomes a lot sweeter and a lot easier when we align with that journey. And your spiritual intelligence that guides you through your intuition and your creative ideas will keep aligning you with that flow if you're willing to listen to it. And so, of course, the question is, well, how do you get inspired ideas? How do you get intuitive ideas? Can anyone give me any examples of how intuitive ideas have come to them? How do you personally receive intuitive ideas? I know how they come to me, but how do they come to you? Anyone? Yeah.
In the shower, mostly.
Sorry?
In the shower.
In the shower, okay. Do they come to you as thoughts, or do they come to you? Yeah. Pictures, yep, okay, so that's two of the ways. They come, I'll come to you two in a moment, they come as really clear thoughts that just seem to arrive out of nowhere. Suddenly you get this new thought that is like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Brilliant. Secondly, thank you, also we get pictures in our mind that just sort of appear in our mind for no apparent reason. Again, that's intuition. Feeling, yep, okay, so our feelings, both our physical feelings, of course, particularly our gut feelings, but also our emotional feelings can be very clear, intuitive guidance. You know, when it's a yes, this is the right thing for you, the right path, you know, we feel expanded, we feel joyful, our energy lifts, we feel kind of tingly. And of course, when it's a no and it's not the right path and don't go in that direction, we are contracted. Often we feel quite tired. We feel small in our energy, down in our energy. So our energy will show us a lot about, yes, that's the right route, or no, you're not in alignment with the flow, or don't go in that direction. Yeah.
In my case, it's more like talking with myself, hearing voice.
Hearing a voice?
Asking the question, is this what you want? Is it something which actually would contribute or not? Where is it going? What
Lovely.
do you feel? Why do you have sweaty hands? Why, you know, asking questions.
So you ask questions of it, and how do you hear the answer?
This depends on the situation. It's very honest, like, you know.
As a voice, as you
Yes,
hear it?
yes.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the fourth way, is you get this often a voice in your head, or you overhear somebody saying something that's really a clear message to you. And be very open to the guidance, supposedly, that you give to other people. Because very often, guess what? It's a message for you as well. So really watch out when you're giving kind of advice to your friends. And how do you know when it's an intuitive thought? How do you know when it's an inspired thought? Well, the first thing is it's repetitive. You keep being told the same thing over and over again, actually, till you get it. Secondly, it's accompanied by that real kind of gut feeling, that deep feeling of, yes, this is the right thing to do. And I always say, you don't need to phone a friend once you got it. You know it is the right answer. So there's no, oh, I think I'd just better phone her up and talk it through with her and see if she thinks it's the right thing. No, you're okay. You know at a deep intuitive level that it's the right answer. So your spiritual intelligence can give you guidance about absolutely everything. Major things, minor things, running big businesses, small businesses, what to wear, should you do this, should you do that. You know, I often like, should I drive on that motorway or that motorway? It's very good on a yes-no answer. You know, should I have that for supper or that? Shall I wear this? Or, you know, the decisions we have about what to wear. Ask your spiritual intelligence, shall I wear this or shall I wear that? And you don't have to try everything on and see what looks okay in the mirror. All right, so you can ask it of absolutely anything. And sometimes we have to wait a little for the answers. And there's one reason for that. Often it's something that needs to clear in us for us to be able to hear the answer and receive it. Because if we've got a limiting self-image or a limiting self-belief, that has to be worked through first. So we're then ready to hear the answers, the guidance, the direction, the way forward. So if it feels like you're kind of in a holding period, a void space, just wait. You'll come out the other side of it once you've cleared whatever needs to be cleared. Because there's one thing about intuition, it's often scary. Because remember, that bigger picture of your spiritual intelligence can see far more for you than you can personally see. It can see a far bigger vision for you than perhaps your mind can see. So in your business, in your leadership roles, remember your spiritual intelligence has got your best interests at heart. So be brave, go with that challenge, go with that scary thing it's guiding you to do. Because guess what? There's a gift you get from doing so. And actually, that's the reason to follow your spiritual intelligence. Okay, let's go on to the next one then, which is our fourth foundational principle, which is the value of deep faith. This has been another huge area of learning for me around having absolute total faith in my spiritual intelligence. So, faith comes not at the level of thinking of our personality, of our logical mind. We get faith the more we connect to our true self. We get faith when we let go of the thinking of our ego, the thinking of our fear-based thoughts, and step into that place of our true self that just knows everything is working out perfectly. Yep, it may not seem like it right now. On the surface, it may seem like actually there is chaos, there is disintegration, there's total confusion, everything is going wrong. But at the level of our true self, there is this whole arc of goodness that is gradually moving us, often through chaos, to our higher good, ultimately to the greater good of us all. If you think, how long ago was it that in the Colosseums in Rome they had people like trying to fight and being eaten by lions and things like that? We don't have that as our sport to watch anymore. We're kind of that much further on the whole arc of goodness. But where we are now is really having to learn about letting go of even some more habits that are not in alignment with the truth of who we are. So faith, real deep faith in the goodness of life, when actually things seem ghastly, when things seem like they're going totally wrong, is a prerequisite for being a spiritually intelligent leader. And what can often happen to us, we're in situations where our faith is really, really tested. And I think as we grow in our spiritual maturity, our faith gets tested more and more and more. When you start your path, perhaps you're not challenged that much around faith. But certainly what I found as time has gone by, I have had to really totally keep my faith anchored in my true self, whilst of course at the same time honouring the kind of negative emotions that come up, the fears that come up in me, the panic that comes up, the kind of all the negative emotions. We have to honour them, we have to release them, we have to let them go. But once we've done that, once we've worked through them, we have to return to that place of deep faith. And it's not always easy. And yet the more we have faith, the easier it is to move through all those things that challenge us with ease. And perhaps a sort of a counterpart to faith is also surrender. And something that A Course in Miracles teaches us that ultimately we could get to, and I have to say I'm not at this place yet, I'm there in some areas of my life, I'm not there in every area, is actually being in that place which Krishnamurti teaches of actually not minding what happens. And that is the ultimate of deep faith and deep surrender, that we are so anchored in our ability to have faith no matter what, that actually we're okay whatever happens. And that's quite a tall order, isn't it? If you think about it, being okay if you lost those things in your life that you love. Yeah? Being okay if you lost those things that you deem to be really important. But that's ultimately where faith can take us to. That we're able to say, I'd love this to happen, and I'm okay if this happens. And I'm sure you've all been through challenging experiences, just as I have, where your faith in a higher power or God or the divine has really been challenged. And likewise, I'm sure you've all had the experience where actually you've come out the other side of it stronger, brighter, and actually with more faith. Okay. As spiritually intelligent leaders, leaders that are connected to their true selves, it's really important that we have right intentions for all that we do. Because our intentions really act like energies that go out into the world and bring things back to us. The Buddhists talk about karma, or the laws of cause and effect, what you give out, what comes back to you. Well, at a very high level, of course, that is true. I always think our intentions act like an energy. They almost kind of go out into the world, and then as the intentional energy gets less and less, it's almost like the intention does a U-turn and then gradually makes its way back to you. So being really conscious that the law of cause and effect, karma, what you give out, what you give back, is not just the things that we do, It's not just the things that we say, it also is also, in fact, the things that we think and the things that we intend. So it behoves us to be really meticulous about the intentions we put into any situation. And if you think about your true self, one of its key intentions is always to add love, to add kindness, to add generosity, to be a peaceful presence, to be a calming influence, to be a place of clarity, a place of listening, a place of empathy, perhaps. And those are the type of intentions that our true self would put out into the universe. You know, one of the intentions that A Course in Miracles says for us is that we have the intention of saying, I am here to be truly helpful. And that's actually a great intention to go throughout your day and have, so that whoever you meet, whatever interactions you have throughout your day, you know, your intention is to be truly helpful, to be of service to those people that just kind of come into your path throughout the day. Perhaps you don't mean to meet them, perhaps they just kind of you end up in conversation with people. And I think something that's really important when you do that in terms of kind of universal wisdom is when you are in these chance conversations and these synchronistic events, please show up at your best, because actually you never know who you might be meeting, or who might they know, or who might they refer you to. And if you show up in a grump and you don't want to speak to them and you're like, I'm far too busy to be bothered with you, then actually the universal intelligence has got to bring you back with that person again, hook you up with them again in the hopes that the next time you're in a good mood. So, you know, have these right intentions, put that right energy out there, and allow yourself to be guided throughout your day as actually who you're meant to meet. Again, another prayer from A Course in Miracles, which I think is a perfect kind of morning prayer, a morning kind of question, is to ask of the universal energies, or ask God, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? And what would you have me say, and to whom? And carry that thought throughout the day, so that as you're going about your day, you know, you're open to, well, what am I meant to say to somebody? You know, who am I meant to speak to? And have that openness of mind. Because let's be honest, we all get up in the morning, the computer goes on, it's onto the emails, we're locked onto our day, there's 10 things on the to-do list, and actually we then got to sort out children, we've got to do some work, we've got to do this, this and this, and then take the stuff to the laundrette and everything else. You know, actually, the what would you have me do, where would you have me go, and what would you say and to whom is out the window for most of us, unless you make that conscious choice throughout the day to connect to your spiritual intelligence. Just by quietening your mind, perhaps focusing on your breath, even if it's just for a minute, that's about 7 or 8 breaths, and really connecting and having those little breaks in your endless tasks so that your spiritual intelligence can say, go to this place now, and you never know who you might meet there. It's really important, that. Okay, on to our next one, which is about letting your light shine. So this is such an important message, really, because when we show up as our true selves, that is the light that we're here to shine. And I just want to differentiate. It doesn't mean we've got to go on X Factor. It doesn't mean we've got to go on Big Brother. Doesn't mean we've got to try out for Britain's Got Talent. That's not the light we're meant to be shining, okay? This doesn't mean get yourself to the next auditions of Britain's Got Talent, okay? It means that as we go about our day, we are connected to that light within us. And we bring that light to everything that we do. We bring that light of our spiritual energy, our spiritual intelligence, and most importantly, our true self to all that we do. So that whoever we interact with and wherever we're guided to do and whatever we're guided to create, that light is central to it all. And it may mean that we shine our light just by holding a real present moment awareness just with the people we meet. Doesn't mean we're going to be famous. But it can also mean that we shine our light in a way that has us on the world stage. And which one of those two it is, or wherever you are in between those two extremes, what is important is that connection inwards. And if you think about a lot of the top people who are very successful in our field, in the field of personal growth, spiritual development, making a difference, they are very dedicated to their meditation, to their prayer time, whatever it is. They have a strong commitment and dedication to it. And that's what we need to emulate, because they are successful because they commit to their inner light. And then from there, it's easy to express it in the world. And I know there are lots of techniques about modeling successful people and kind of doing what they do and copying what they do and what they say and what their hand movements are and their eye movements are. You know, on one level, that is of some value, but what's really important is that we actually emulate their connection. We emulate their devotion. We emulate their dedication to the truth of who they are and letting that light shine outwards. And so whatever you do, whether you are running a big business or you're just a one-man band or you're just at home being very present in all that you do, be connected to the light within. And that is the way you shine your light. And if you're destined to run a big business, I promise you, if you're connected to that light, your inner intelligence will take you to that place. All you have to do is listen. All right, so let's go on now to our last one, which is really what I think, for me, leadership is about. If you think about the old style of leadership, it was very much an autocratic style, where there was somebody in charge who told all those people underneath him what to do, him or her what to do, and they in turn told the people underneath them what to do. So there were kind of people in charge and then the lesser people. Then actually there was a lot of growth, and this is still very popular at the moment, in the concept of the servant leader, which is really a kind of a bottom-up approach to leader, where the leader becomes the servant serving all those within the organization. And that also is a very beautiful place to be, but I sense it's almost a pendulum swing away from the autocratic style. And for me, when I was writing about leadership, I was very much guided to this Latin quote, primus inter pares, which is that as leaders, we should see ourselves as first among equals. So that when we lead in any kind of capacity, in any situation, we lead from a place of being equal to all of those around us, valuing their talents, their gifts, their skills, their worth, all that they truly are, and not having ourselves in a position of superiority. Now, that is quite tough, because our ego naturally wants us to feel superior, particularly when we're in a superior position. it wants us to feel that we are superior to other people. And often we have a whole host of reasons why actually we think we are superior. That has got to go. That's just an egoic concept. And likewise, who here could admit to being in positions where actually we felt inferior? We've gone the other way. And instead of being superior to a whole load of people, we're like inferior. Who knows that one? Yep. Who's been in situations where you felt inferior? So this is another tactic the ego will take us into, where we are no longer being in this place of first among equals. So I've been concentrating on this. In fact, this month, every month I send out an email called Focus for the Month, and the focus for this month actually was on equality. And, you know, we've been kind of looking a lot at how important equality is, and actually how we can be not very good at it. You know, do we really treat young, old, people of all different ethnic backgrounds and religions and races as equal? I don't know. The ego would very easily put us into I'm superior or possibly I'm inferior. And it is so important that as spiritually intelligent leaders, we actually see ourselves consistently as equal to each and every one of us. Why? Because within every person is that same light, that same energy that is in us. And at that place, there is no difference. There's no you over there and me here. There's no you over there and me here. We are all connected, all equal, and we all originate from the same energy source. And it is for exactly that reason that we must treat everyone as equals. Okay, I'm just mindful of the time now. I'd like to stop for a 15-minute break. Have a pause for a glass of water or a cup of tea or whatever you need until 8:45. And then we're going to come back and just kind of do a bit of an assessment on where you're at with your own levels of spiritually intelligent leadership.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.